welcome to the first ever installment of What Did Yawn Say? So obviously Yawn, the co-founder of Find Satoshi Labs, FSL, took the time this week to sit down in Twitter and do a Q&A for everyone. You know, whether it's FSL questions, STEPN questions, nothing was off limits. And I feel like there was a lot of great information that he got across throughout this whole Q&A thread, and I felt it was appropriate to sit down and just elaborate on it, talk about it, and put it across on another platform, because obviously not everyone is on Twitter, and I feel like these questions, and I think that's kind of maybe been the issue, is they're being here, there, everywhere, so we can kind of put them all in one place, or at least make the effort to get it to as many people as we can. It'll help take a lot of misinformation out of the whole situation, because I feel like sometimes that's the issue. When you can't find the answer, some people elaborate, or they come to an assumption based on what they feel is right, which isn't always fact. So obviously, coming from Yawn, he has his hands definitely in the pie, and he's making the moves. So coming from him, we know it's fact. And I feel like if we can share this however we want to, whether it's through a Twitter thread, video, on a space, I think getting that information out there so everyone's kind of on the same page is essential for us all moving forward. So he did start off this thread by saying development takes time, and we are working as hard as we can to deliver 3 projects and 3 upcoming. Transparency does not mean I need to disclose all key information, such as the percentage models, sensitive information for past promises. It still holds, but takes time to execute. Please, people bring it up again and again, and it's not going to make it happen any faster, which I think is very fair. Game Design 101, if you burn X amount of item A, you will get a chance to receive item B or B+. This is different from gambling, which you bet on an outcome expecting an immediate reward, which makes sense. Honestly, it does, because, gamification looks a little bit different. With the recent departure of Barndog, I wish him well, but speculating on unfounded ground is unprofessional, and I felt disappointed. So obviously throughout this thread, he touches on all those topics, because, obviously there's going to be things that are on the tips of people's tongue, and they want to kind of hear more about it and get more elaboration on it and get a little bit more clarity on what happened and why things happened. And obviously, being a co-founder of a project like this, you're definitely limited in what you can and can't say, because obviously you've got professional courtesy, and you've also got, NDAs and different things like that you cannot overtread. So I think he did a really good job throughout, obviously, these questions, elaborating on certain things to the point that he can. Obviously, you can't go and disclose something that isn't yours to disclose, and you've come to a professional agreement with someone. Obviously, you can't overtread those boundaries, because otherwise that's a whole other can of worms. So they started off the first question that came through was, what is currently your biggest concern for STEPN's future? Yawn went on to say, we have no concerns with the release of Rainbow and soon achievement system. We will be self-sufficient without relying on new users increasing. Focused on lifestyle and achievement accomplishments. With future GMT value creation, it will be done by other apps we build, which I think there's a lot in that. And a lot that I think people will be excited to hear is obviously focused on lifestyle and achievement accomplishments. Means obviously with, the badge and achievement system rolling out, hopefully sooner rather than later, you will get to, focus more on the fitness side of things. Because I think that's why a lot of people are staying with this, because they can see the positive lifestyle effects that it's having. And obviously, if we can emphasize on that, if, the project can move in that direction and make that more powerful, it's definitely going to be something that people are going to enjoy a lot more. Obviously, with MOOAR and other projects that they're rolling out, they're there to kind of help support the overall ecosystem. Obviously, you may look at the short term and not understand, but like when you're relying on new users, obviously you want to get away from that as quick as possible. And if you can build the foundation around, supporting the overall structure, it makes everything easier. Like, yes, you can still have new users coming in, but you've got that sustainable model underneath, which is obviously going to make it, flourish and make the whole process a little bit easier. The second question went on to say, why unfollow Barndog after all he has done? Question part 2 to that question 2 is STEPN still working together in some way with Nori? So Yawn went on to say, I actually discovered this today as I do not run our Twitter directly. I have to apologize and this does not reflect our standard of doing things. Barndog has been added back to this morning. So obviously Yawn isn't in control of the STEPN Twitter, and obviously something's going on in the background there. we don't know the full story of that, obviously, but he like just transparently said, we fixed that. Obviously, he doesn't have his finger in every pie, but he definitely, if he finds something that he's not happy with, he corrects it, which I think, is all you can really do, after the fact. He also went on to say, we need to wait, Nori, fulfill our order before we can make more orders. So that pretty much sums that up. When do you plan to formally respond to Crypto Edgar's thread about early release of treasury funds? So yes, obviously this has been something that's come up again and again this week. And he went on to say, why should I? Treasury funds are sitting there. We will use it as we move on. And what early release? ? Treasury fund is vested on monthly basis and rarely being used. Please let me know exactly what is your question. We disclosed all addresses holding funds on our white paper. So that's pretty much just saying, they're sticking to the book. And if there's one thing I do know about this company is they don't stray from, we need to do it the right way. And obviously when you you're doing everything by the book and then you constantly get the same question over and over again, you're a little bit like, sooner or later, you need, I'm not giving you the answer you want, but I'm giving you the answer that I can give. So I think it explains, if you read between the lines, pretty obviously what's going on there. Besides the seed round of 5 million, did you raise other funds from angel investors and private sale investors? If so, how much? Is sending out 3.6 million GMT monthly among the rare users of treasury funds? Is any of this going to early investors? Yawn went on to say, we have 3.6 million monthly spending on marketing, including KOLs and other types of promotion. KOLs/NCN disclose as private investors are industrial standard for covering themselves to be objective. Full disclosure that they have skin in the game. So that's pretty much going on to say, obviously 3.6 million, a lot of that's used for different marketing, whether it's KOLs or other forms of marketing in that direction. It's not STEPN's responsibility to disclose people's arrangements. Obviously it's up to these KOLs and different things to stipulate their arrangements, and obviously with certain things like NDAs and different things in place, Yawn can't elaborate on certain things because obviously it's not for him to say, because it's not, he's keeping it professional and not going beyond the lines of what he can and can't share. Why were ASIC sneaker walkers and not trainers? Does it make more sense given its physical shoe utility? Is there a quest way to upgrade them? So yeah, I do understand this, and I'm not gonna lie, I would have loved the trainer. So I was kind of like, yeah, where's my trainer? But no, obviously they did walkers, which, obviously he sums up. We have, this is a mutual arrangement between us and ASICs. I now open a weekly AMA thread on Twitter. So that's obviously elaborating on the second part of that question, which is how does the team think their relationship between the community and the team is going. And I think, summing this up, I now open a weekly AMA thread on Twitter. You can ask anything, is kind of a sign of where things are going. He understands there was a certain amount of requirement in that area. And I think this is the right direction to move in, because obviously it's more, like he spent like 12 hours answering questions, which is actually insane for like a co-founder of a project like this. He doesn't need to, but he understands there's a need for it. And I think that just kind of shows the team's focus, which I really did appreciate. Collab is running as scheduled. Event we decided to slow down due to initial investment. Global event does not yield any meaningful traction. So obviously during bear markets, you don't want to be spending too much money because you need to expand your runway as much as possible and spend money where money needs to be spent. It's, basic business really, as much as we would all love, this, that, and everything else. You've just got to be smart during these times. And that pretty much sums up how their thoughts about the whole situation are going. Is STEPN developing the way you expected in the beginning? And he goes on to say, no, it developed much bigger than we ever imagined. And I think we can all attest to that. Like, it went nuts, and the user base definitely got there probably a lot faster than anyone had scheduled, which is amazing. But it's also, when that happens, you really need to adjust quick. Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of a lot more numbers, a lot more things that can be exaggerated on. So yeah, it's obviously been a crazy old ride for the last year. Obviously, the second part of that question, what was the toughest move / change you had to implement knowing it would not be well accepted by the players? Marketplace and China ban. It is what it is. Hardcore, but must be done to be compliant. For compliance. That's pretty self-explanatory, really. Yeah, like both those things have been tough. And, we kind of knew it definitely with the marketplace and the latest things that came out. It wasn't ideal, especially for Apple. But obviously, you got to do what you got to do. You got to play by the rules and, it just play the cautious way. And that's one thing this team does really well is they do not stray from, they don't put the project or anything in risk. They make the moves they need to make to keep us all, moving forward in the project as healthy as possible. Question part 3 to that was, what are the most proud concerning STEPN? What are you the most proud of concerning STEPN? Building something people use and change their lives in a positive way. And I can totally relate to that because it's just everywhere. Like you look throughout the Twitter threads and stuff, people losing weight, people, just mentally becoming more positive and optimistic. And that can't be undervalued because honestly, if you look at it from a, value to your life kind of perspective, there's so many people that this has really just helped them, push forward with something. And it's all good to say, but you could do it for free, but do we? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like having that little incentive definitely does help. And I would be really proud too if I built something that people really enjoyed and helped them implement a habit. Can you confirm that $30 a month fee will not be affected STEPN players, even if current 6% MP fees disappears? No, the marketplace are separate. So that's been something that's been miscommunicated a lot. So obviously we've got MOOAR with their marketplace, and then we've got obviously the marketplace for STEPN. They will not be the same marketplace. Obviously we need to put that out there because that has been something they've said over and over again, and the miscommunication keeps kind of spiraling back towards, but you're going to make us pay for the no, it's not going to happen. Like literally separate marketplaces. Personally, I would like to see the marketplace over on MOOAR purely because I buy and sell a lot of shoes, like I do a lot of trading, and it would be my benefit to just pay $30 flat fee. But obviously they stipulate they're separate. So that's really important to know. What do you think of building a mechanic in STEPN, like burning 100% E during 30 days to get a free PFP from a specific STEPN related collection hosted in MOOAR? All of us with similar PFP in this space, stronger sense of community, promotion of other projects. I love that. Like that would be really cool. We are on something. So they agree, because I think that is that the community aspect and like being part of something together is pretty cool. And being able to use the multi apps for that to only strengthen our community and use it together would be pretty freaking cool. So it would be nice to see stuff like that in the future. Do you see any possibility of rebalancing the classic versus rainbow GMT distribution ratio in future? Certainly not asking for a definite answer, more so if consider that a potential option pending analysis of impact, etc. Obviously, this is talking about rainbow pools and the rainbow sneakers. Yawn went on to say, I revised this 3 times, but you need make all these sneakers burn justified. Lowering the rainbow pool would defeat the purpose of low drop rate. Increasing drop rate will certainly make it a classic plus. Hope you understand the difficulty of balancing this. And I think that's one of the things, like you really need to define between what you want and what's better for the overall picture. Like obviously they have the back end data to know what is and isn't working. If they feel adjustments need to be made, that's on them. It's not on us. I personally do not have that data. And a lot of us don't, as much as I would be like, yeah, give me all the GMT. Obviously we want this to be sustainable long-term, which does mean obviously it needs to be balanced. Obviously they see that the current system is the way it is because it's the most beneficial for all. And I choose to trust that. It's up to you guys what you feel about it. But for me, I kind of go, if you say it's balanced, I trust you because my maths is good, but it ain't that good. Will the mystery box content change in the future? Getting hashtag more than gems and scrolls inside, like a power up to be consumed, restore HP, repair, shoes, extra energy, or ticket to mint on more. Okay, so that's kind of talking about adding things to the mystery boxes, which I think is a great idea. We have heard in the past that obviously there's a little bit of issues with obviously putting NFTs into mystery boxes and different things like that. But it would be cool to see mystery boxes with that, and that's my personal opinion. Yawn went on to say, no, we won't intend to not link these 2 apps too closely, but will run across apps promo. Okay, so he's pretty much saying, obviously more is more, STEPN is STEPN, other future apps are other future apps. Doesn't want to run them into each other. Yeah, it would be cool to kind of see like an added thing of, you run on STEPN and, you get a membership to MOOAR or something like that. That would be really cool. That's my personal perception, but, obviously they've got to do what they got to do. got to put trust in it sometimes because, they've created a very successful business for a reason. And I choose to just be like, I'm not building it. I trust. And yeah, it's just, you just sometimes got to do that. How about we changing all assets into realms to trade in GMT like minting scrolls used to do? That's one way to elevating concerns about the Solana chain. Obviously with Sol, it hasn't been doing great as late because of a few link-ins with different things. Obviously it is a concern for people, and Yawn went on to say good suggestion, which, I guess kind of shows that there is other avenues out there if Sol and different things don't work out great. Obviously there is options. We're multi-realm already. We have Ethereum, we have BNB, and we also have Solana. So, it's not like we're kind of stuck on one, if you know what I mean. And it's a huge issue for us. I still personally believe in Solana, and I'm definitely not running away from it because that seems to be my chain of choice. But it is a concern for people, and it's good to see that he's acknowledging that and kind of saying, don't worry, we'll get it sorted, but we're very open to your suggestions, especially when it comes to GMT. How do you like it if we have energy tank system? Sometimes you're forced to suspend walking because of family event, being sick, or scheduled like sitting in the aeroplane for 19 hours. Quite sad to see energy and being wasted. Yeah, I can understand that. And you're going to say discussed, but we passed that idea. So obviously that's going into like some days you're going to be busy, now that you may be sick, being able to pull that energy and not lose it. Like yesterday morning, I didn't have enough time to get out there before the refresh time, and I lost like 3 energy, which hurts my soul. But, obviously the pull system doesn't work into the ecosystem they're trying to build. But I think, it's one of those things you just have to sometimes be like, I just can't use the energy. As much as it sucks, it is what it is. It's all part of the game. Obviously now he goes on to say, this is the question, when can we make STEPN great again? Did the rainbow system achieve what you were aiming for? Yes, slowly and surely, Yawn says. Hundreds of thousands of sneakers have been consumed. It will take time to see the full effects. So, things don't happen overnight. I still believe in like what they're doing. I would love to be able to see the back end of how many shoes are being burnt, because, I know how many I've burnt. And it's a lot, so would be good to kind of see that back end. But obviously they're saying it's slow and surely. Hundreds of thousands of sneakers have been consumed, which is a good thing. That's a good thing for the ecosystem. Supply and demand, it's what it's about. Less the supply, more demand, and win-win for all. Next question is, now I'm really worried about the issue of STEPN management. I hope you'll all officially explain about why Barndog had to leave. STEPN is a good project, and many Japanese users still believe in you guys. Yawn went on to say, we feel sorry for his departure. I have addressed under his open letter. Barndog has been a loyal user and strong support of the STEPN project. The whole team feels sorry for his departure. We wish him the best of luck in the next role. Yeah, I think it's pretty sad. We all kind of didn't want to see Barndog, and I was definitely blindsided by that. Obviously didn't want to lose Barndog. He's a good guy, and he was good for the overall project together. But obviously things don't work out in business sometimes, and it's neither here nor there. So, it's unfortunate, but some things happen and you just can't change them. So we just need to move forward. And yeah, we just wish him all the best of luck, obviously. What about a partnership with smartwatches? I think to Garmin in particular, it would bring new players and solve the GPS issue. 100% agree. I'm a runner. I hate running with my phone in my hand, but I'm kind of getting used to it now. Like I think my knuckles are reforming to my phone. So what did Yawn say? He said, we feel sorry. We are too busy with the other development works, and people are now pretty okay waiting, running, carrying their phones. Debatable, Yawn. My hand gets too sweaty, and hopefully in the future that would be something where it can link in like as a widget into your Garmin watch or something like that. That'd be so cool. I like that question. I think mystery box level 1s, level 2s are usually not profitable, and that's not good for beginners. In fact, most of the people think nothing is better than getting a mystery box 1, 2. Why don't you change the contents for that? At least get a little plus for opening them, not losing money. This has been a complaint that single sneaker users not getting mystery boxes. We listened to it and installed level 1, 2 boxes, and people complain about it again. Drop rate is chance-based. People cannot always win. Which I think is really fair, because I remember back in the early days where I was 1 or 2 or 3 sneakers and I didn't even get mystery boxes. It wasn't even an option. I think you really didn't get it until you got up to Oh man, it would have been like 9 sneakers, and then you started getting a look in for mystery boxes. So it's one of those things, you don't need to open the mystery boxes, but they're there if you want to play that game. And you could get lucky here, there, everywhere. But yeah, it is one of those things. Obviously, you can't give the world in certain situations. It's still cool that they get to get mystery boxes and earn mystery boxes, and there's always those outside chance to getting higher level ones, which will give you the gems. It's just obviously, you've got to play the game. You've really got to play it. Like, obviously, we can't be giving away level 3 gems in level 1 mystery boxes, because I would be just earning all the level 1 mystery boxes if that was the case. So, yeah, it is one of those things. It's definitely, if you look at what we had once upon a time versus what we have now, mystery boxes, no mystery boxes, you can open one, you can choose to open it or you can choose to leave it. It's up to you. So, yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable for him to say that. Next question was, you were previously considered the ability to apply buff that accumulates with the achievement of shoe level 20. Is there any possibility of implementing this in the future? The marathon mode has weekly and monthly. Is it necessary to run every day of the week, month? Okay, so I personally like collecting achievements while I play WoW. WoW achievement system did get an upgrade for every patch they installed. So it will be an achievement system. It will progressively achieve system. Marathon mode has not started in design. Not much info can be shared. So obviously that's just talking about the achievement system. You were previously considered the ability to apply a buff accumulates achievement for the shoebox level 20. Okay, so yeah, that's just talking about obviously the achievement system and how that's going to be designed. And obviously marathon mode is still in the works. Bring on marathon mode. I want it. But yeah, obviously that's just kind of just acknowledging that, it's just going to take some time in development. Hopefully with these weekly AMAs, we can kind of get a better idea of where things are at. And, we can always ask these questions like, hey, the next week, how's marathon mode? Still the same. Next week, you probably get annoyed, but at least we have the option now to ask these questions and kind of get a touch in. And who knows, one day he might be like, it's sooner than you think. Gamification. Are these plans to further gamify existing realm concepts? This will encourage mine on BSC ETH. This will encourage me to mine on, BSC and ETH. Yep, cool. Example A, gated realms or special percent boost based on realm or world achievements. Realm versus world, i.e. activity on specific realm versus across realm. We are rolling out achievement systems step by step. It is definitely hard to keep everything balanced, but we will try our best to take this into consideration. Because that is one of the things, and I had a conversation about this the other day, with obviously bringing in achievements and badges and different things like that, especially if they have gamification on them. There's so many moving parts now, and it's why things take time, is because you bring a new thing into the game, and it's obviously you got to balance that against everything else that is already in the game. So obviously it's not as simple as it once was, where you kind of have a very limited amount of things, and then you can just roll something out, and it really only impacts that one other thing. When you've got so many moving parts like GMT, GST, you've got mystery boxes, and you've got to balance that whole ecosystem out, it's not as easy as create, dump. You've really got to mold it and make sure it works in with other things and doesn't make some things OP and then other things undervalued, because you really just need the whole ecosystem to be balanced. So obviously as time goes on, things are obviously going to roll out slower and slower, because it's not as simple as make and implement. It's going to be make and then work it into every other feature that's in there, and then the next one obviously needs to work into that as well. So I think it's just something to keep in mind. Obviously we do want new and exciting new things, but things like that take time. Having encouraged people to sign up to MOOAR, are there any plans to reward people who signed up with, e.g. commemorative NFTs, so like anniversary NFTs? Could free trial of MOOAR be extended a month, as right now is extremely limited offering? Yeah, which is fair enough, because at the moment obviously we've had our membership for about a month and there's not a lot happening on MOOAR. Obviously we will get the first launch pad coming out on the 1st of December, which is going to be so cool, and we would love to obviously have the 30 days over that period. Would be really cool. There will be memberships giveaways for time to time. MOOAR has 2 systems: a loyalty system, adding your level as you subscribe longer, and a level system, adding your level as you trade more. These 2 systems will contribute and you getting NFT allocation from launchpad voting. Okay, so that's pretty much just saying, obviously, the gamification of MOOAR, there will be opportunities to obviously get incentivized in different ways through MOOAR. Obviously, we did see this week as well that they gave out another 30 days if you're over a certain amount in STEPN, which is always good to see that kind of multi-reward where if you use STEPN a certain amount, you get a benefit within MOOAR to kind of entice people to come across and use it more, because I think it's going to be really cool having the gamification on MOOAR. And obviously what we're seeing right now isn't really an elaborate version of what we're actually going to see. And I'm excited to kind of see more of MOOAR. Why does someone from the inside team like Tyson block so many people who express their opinions? Don't you think that gives the STEPN project a bad name? In Spain, we have freedom of expression and we listen to contrary opinions and accept them. Yawn went on to say, if it is his personal account, he should do freely. If it is a work-related account, I have addressed this and apologized for the actions. Yeah, I don't think we really need to elaborate too much on that one, but obviously, it's been heated in the last week, and, a lot of personal attacks, and, where do you draw that line? Like, where do you kind of decide enough's enough for yourself? Because, you're still human after all, and you can only deal with so much of so much. So, yeah. Obviously, he's kind of explained that situation and said he apologizes for any actions that may have offended someone, because obviously that's never the intention. You also need to look after your best interests sometimes too. We need an option or button to preserve skin when enhancing, not exchanging. Will add value to the ASICs or flag shoes. In-game badges will be tradable or not. CMC badge. Will they have utility? I know certain individuals that would like to hear more about that, but badge and achievements is undergoing development. Skin system does not work in the way you suggest, which is neither here nor there. Obviously, skin to me is skin. You should be able to take it off and put it on other shoes. I think we'd all love to see that, but obviously that's not the system that's implemented on this occasion. And you just need to be, I think putting more out there to kind of, because I did see a few, unfortunately, ASIC skins get destroyed because someone enhanced them they might have been thinking it carried across with the enhancement, but obviously you lose the skin, but you keep the lowest number. So you obviously still have an OG, but unfortunately you lose the skin. So maybe there should be a button implemented, in my opinion, where, it kind of gives you a warning that if you do go beyond this point with that skin on, you will lose it, just so people don't, unfortunately, run into that, because that's definitely not ideal. Will you come to B&B Realm and enhance sneakers like you did recently in Soul Realm? And Yawn went on to say, if Soul 4 is more expensive than B&B, yes. As we all know, he burnt a lot of shoes. So, yeah, obviously there's a lot more shoes on Soul 2. So that's the whole ecosystem thing they always talk about, is obviously as one kind of value increases, someone else might decrease, and then people move over there, bring that. And then, they've always kind of talked around those kind of, balancing and how things will kind of rotate around. And, you really do need to stay on top of it, and kind of, even B&B versus Soul. We did have one point where they flipped each other, but that didn't last very long. But you obviously can play that whole game if you wanted to, moving around to different realms and, focusing on different realms depending on, what they're doing and where their floor price and tokens and different things are at. So it's definitely something to kind of stay on top of, and, just kind of know the moves you can make to benefit yourself. Is your app going to be mainly a gambling app, or we will see some new mechanics that are not casino-like? That's what it says. That's not me, all right? I was reading that. And it says, I have addressed this many times before, and I will stop. Reply to question like this, as you guys clearly never read. Again, example A of why I'm doing this video is because, like, you can already see that's 3 times now that's been mentioned within that one thread. And it's just, obviously, it's a lot of content to take in. And I totally get that. Like, I get lost going through some of those threads, because you can pop the threads down and, he talks about it over and over and over again, but obviously we just may not come across it. So that's why I kind of wanted to put this video together to kind of, talk it through each step at a time. And if someone sits here and listen to it, firstly, well done. Secondly, hopefully it kind of answered that question enough times that you don't need the answer to that question anymore. And someone else asks you that question, you'll know the answer. So that's what it's all about. Are ambassadors free to give their genuine opinions respectfully when engaging in public forums such as Twitter, Discord Spaces, Twitch, etc., without a fear of reprisal? There is a feeling within the community that a directive has been given by management at FSL. We do not have contractual or social media platform powers to stop anyone expressing their feelings about STEPN, as long as it is not scam or misinformation, it will be tremendous overpower of what you described there. It is the power of Elon Musk. Yeah, so I can honestly say I'm not the kind of person where I'm probably not going to talk negatively about things. Like I'll be critical, but I firmly believe that sometimes when you're critical, you need to give a solution with it as well. So like obviously with the skins and stuff like that, I've kind of said like I would love to see it. So you had an option where it kind of warns you that you're going to lose the skin. Implementing little things like that, obviously, from a gamified side of things, makes a lot of sense. So we're free to talk about all that kind of stuff. We're free to talk about whatever we want, obviously, but we just obviously don't go out there and talk about like other projects in the move turn space and different things like that. And that's something I would do, anyway. I'm not going to really go out there and I'm stepping through and through. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Definitely not limited in what we can and can't say, and I'll say that without a shadow of a doubt. So what about PvP mode in STEPN between players, where you will need to walk or run fighting with another player, and the number of steps and the resilience indicator will affect the victory? Are there marathons this year? This has been addressed before. We want to focus on harmony and calibration, not confrontation and competition, so no PvP for us. And well, GMT is a little bit PvP. I try to avoid certain people with big bad shoes, but no, I definitely know what it's saying, because obviously I think having a leaderboard would be enough P for me, like PvP for me. Because we're all kind of semi-competitive, so having like a leaderboard or something like that in the future would be kind of, I guess, the most you could possibly want. So yeah, it's good to kind of get that insight. And obviously you did touch on marathon mode. Obviously it's still in the works. So is there going to be other gambling mechanisms? Again, like this has been touched on a few times. I love to gamble the rest of my 90% loss to maybe have something where we don't even know the odds. What in France is illegal. Okay. We do not endorse gambling, and we are not building a gambling platform. We ensure that we stay compliant with local laws and regulations to protect the project and the community. I think enough said. Like they've kind of talked about the whole game, like why it's not gambling and why it's gamification. And they've said that over and over again. So yeah, it's just one of those things. If you feel like it is that for you, maybe you need to assess how you're playing the game, because obviously don't take risks that you don't want to, or you can't afford to. It's really important. So how can we all STEPN team users make STEPN awesome again? I think it's pretty awesome. Is it just about crypto price and that we are near the bottom of the bear market? Is all the building and progress RN going to come to fruition in a few years? What is your belief? Yawn goes on to say, through discovering the next big thing, prices are a mere reflection, not the cause. Okay. Through discovering the next big thing, prices are a mere reflection, not the cause. Okay, I guess that sums it up anyway. Interpret that how you will. On top of the recent alleged bullying with the FSL Steam workplace, have you met your obligation to address this as an employer under Australian Fair Work legislation? In relation to ambassadors, they are not employees of SSL STEPN. Rather, they are people with partner with the build our brand and achieve a common goal. Often there are no contracts between us and the ambassadors, and this relationship is based on mutual respect and synergies. Yes, obviously we're not all employees of STEPN. Obviously they have their team, and then they have ambassadors which are not employees. But then saying that, I think they've pretty much summed up that nothing went against probably what workplace would be anyway. Workplace, Fair Work Australia and stuff like that would condemn. So obviously that's just him, coming to that and talking about that, but obviously just outlaying what the agreement between ambassadors and the team are in general anyway. If you and the team, like you're saying, are all sorry for Barndog leaving, can you then make a comment on the public humiliation of Barndog in front of his fellow ambassadors and go into a little more depth of what happened according to this? Hold on, what public humiliation? You need to be very specific on details so everyone can understand the context. I will not allow misinformation under my thread. Again, I don't think anyone knows the full picture of what went on there. And I think he's just elaborating on that. But as you can see, the same questions get asked over and over again. And again, why we need to get information across, because there's so much miscommunication, especially when communication's coming from, one side and not the other. People will sometimes draw up kind of their own opinion of what they think happened, which isn't always fact. And when, you know, you have a business on one side and then an employee on the other side, one has a kind of a obligation to be respectful. And I think, you know, both parties have been respectful. It's just other people may be drawing lines of what they think happens. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. He sums it up pretty well there, I think. Finally, what do you think the future holds of STEPN? We can only do our best to design new products and projects to bring additional functionality and utility to the FSL ecosystem, focusing on lifestyle and Web3, which is good to hear. Craving from sneak peeks is the new S.N thing on your profile related to STEPN app, or is it a new thing for the entire FSL ecosystem? Part 2 is that, are you planning to incorporate daily, weekly, monthly missions for badges, achievements, or is it just going to be an other system? Yes and yes. So obviously craving sneak peek, obviously with the SNN, is it related to the STEPN app, or is it a new thing for the entire FSL ecosystem? Yes. Are you planning to incorporate daily, weekly, monthly missions for badges and achievements, or is it going to be an other system? Yes. So obviously didn't elaborate too much on that, but I think you can draw between the lines. Can we get higher quality gems for level 5s and 6 mystery boxes? It's a net loss to open them at the moment. Are you sure based on gem type and level? You get 1, don't believe it. It is a net loss. If you believe so, do not open it. You know, you get a level 3 comfort gem in a level 6 box, definitely not a net loss there. So, you know, obviously there's always going to be or resilience, probably a loss, or comfort, not. Like, you've got to have both sides to it. It can't always be profitable. You know, otherwise it's not a case of when the money runs out. It's a case of, no, not a case of if the money runs out, it's a case of when, because obviously, you know, you need to have that balanced out. So some are winning, some are losing, some are losing, some are winning. And that's kind of how the whole ecosystem balances itself out. Can I continue to invest in Solana shoes? If Solana loses value, won't Solana assets such as shoes be lost? You cannot expect a financial advice from me. If you recall, Sol's floor price was around 1 Sol last week. Now Sol price halved and floor price is around 2 Sol. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. You know, price goes down and the floor price reflects that. We hope it does. And obviously we decide the floor price of the users, because obviously we set the price. So if we all decided today, let's all take our shoes off the market and then put it double the price, we could, but we just don't do that because obviously some people are more, I guess, focused towards selling than others. So obviously they're always going to put the price down a little bit more and then other people follow suit. So do you plan to list GST BSC on many other major exchanges like GST Sol, and plan to list GST on Binance Exchange? No, we were opposing of listing GST anyways, but exchange listed anyway. GST should belong to the game ecosystem. So that's obviously been something we've had to focus, deal with, obviously, because you can short GST when they're on exchanges and stuff like that. And it was never the teams, they never wanted it to be listed, but obviously exchanges can take it on themselves to list it. And then you bring in that whole trading and, you know, especially we're getting better these days because obviously the overall cap isn't as easily manipulated, but obviously at some points there it used to be quite low that obviously it was easy for those big old whales to do, you know, whales play whale games. But obviously if they had the choice, I'm sure they would remove it from all exchanges. There are reports of toxic bullying culture in your workplace environment for the ambassadors. That will you be doing to rectify that? As under those conditions, the project will fail if ambassadors are only pumping out toxic positivity and not responding to the gameplay issues. The report you said is from our ex-global ambassador. If there is toxic work environment, you would hear it more frequently from our current ex-employees. I hope this answers your question. 100%. Like, I can say I've never been bullied. I've never experienced anything like that. Again, I may be a tadpole and not high enough up to experience anything, but I haven't, you know, personally witnessed anything that was just unjustified. So for me, I kind of, you know, people are always going to have personal issues in a workplace. We're not, you know, you can be the biggest, ripest, juiciest peach, but then there's going to be someone that doesn't like peaches. So we've kind of always, you know, got to be open to just personal conflicts. Like sometimes that happens and, you know, that's not on the business to, you know, I guess negotiate that. It's up to those two individuals to make the decision on how they move forward with that relationship. Is it really Yawn writing? And he just did a picture of a cat. So no, it's not Yawn doing these questions. It's actually a nice Maltese looking cat. So well done, cat. You impressed me. Are you planning to reduce the cost of opening boxes, mystery boxes? It is very expensive to open boxes because it falls to the Solana. So obviously, when you open mystery boxes, you sell gems in Solana, and people are saying obviously because Solana's losing a lot of value, so are the gems. Personally, I wait for the time to pass and open with a base cost. This is my strategy. Mine too. Obviously, at the moment, with things being the way they are, I let it time out all the way. As much as I loved once upon a time opening a box every day, you just sometimes got to do what's best for you and understand that like the floor price is probably going to give you a better chance at returning a profit out of that box, or at least doing well and putting the GST to a good use. So, got to play the game. It's a game after all, so you just got to make sure you're doing what's best for you. How long can you support STEPN during the crypto winter? In other words, what's your runway for STEPN? Runway has nothing to do with the crypto winter. I addressed this last week about the runway and how we started to prepare the crypto winter since mid this year. So we've heard on multiple occasions, obviously, and he could probably summed it up with, we've heard the runway is very healthy. Obviously, Bundog did video, different things like that, where I think they stipulated 5-year runway or something like that. All we know is obviously they're making the moves that best reflect a healthy future. So, he answers it on multiple occasions, and obviously he feels comfortable with the situation. And we just kind of have to put trust in, they've done the maths and they understand how long things can go for. Any chance we can get socket enhancement or fusion method implemented in the game so we can build the ultimate sneaker? In discussions, but logic is hard. We will see. So yeah, I would love that. I would love being able to change sockets because I've got a few unfortunate sockets that are in my shoes. So I would love to be able to re-roll them if that's ever a possibility. And I have a feeling it should be or will be, because maybe not in the near future, but for me, I would love to see it sooner rather than later so I could fix up some of my shoes. I am concerned because of the unclear nature of many of the ambassadors' issues that are occurring now. And what do you think the community should be like? I have been aware of the bundle situation. What are the other ambassador issues? I do not understand the second question. Again, I don't think it's something we need to really dwell on because obviously I, being an ambassador, haven't seen it. So I don't know, for me, I've never experienced it. So I don't know. I can't really comment on that. Do you think we should be using GMT and GST as the marketplace currency instead of SOL, BNB and ETH in the future? This could give an accurate calculation in profits for mystery boxes and other mechanics. You are on something. I like your thinking. Do you think we should be using GMT and GST as the marketplace currency instead of SOL, BNB and ETH? Yeah, it would be good. It would give a good use case for GMT, but obviously I don't know how that all balances out with the tokenomics and different things. Is it contractually obligated to use the wrong currency? Yeah, no, I like your thinking. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's promising. That would be really cool to have GMT as like kind of you use that to purchase shoes and different things. I don't know how that would work, and obviously I'll let them decide if that's mathematically possible or not. Hi Yawn, I would like to ask you what about buyback and burn GMT and sneakers. There is in your Medium article when you promised that in a few weeks, that was on the 12th of July, could you provide any details? Addressed many times, read up. Do you think it would be nice project for yourself or a team member to start fresh STEPN journey from 1 to 3 sneakers and showcase its progress purely off its own earnings? For the community, launch of achievements could be a good point to start. Classic WoW server. Lol, that's too much grind. I don't know how to take that one. Because it would be a hard game. I've talked about a few other occasions where we talk about obviously there is ways to not refreshing your first shoe and buying a new floor shoe and different things like that, rather than looking to heal up your first shoe when you get to 20%. And things like that. So there are little plays you can make, and obviously it is a grind. But it's one of those things. It's you get in it and you do it for a while, and eventually you'll get there. But obviously it's just not going to happen quick. So it would be cool to kind of. I want to go back to one shoe, but it would definitely be a grind. How will you manage, react, and act in the event of a collapse of Solana network? My community is excited. Don't think that will happen. And if it did, we have a plan. So obviously that's to do with slow. It's probably a maxi of a different chain, being like, our community is excited. That's a bit brutal, dude. Are you guys planning to perks or incentives VIP subscription? Isn't worth. VIP design with Apple IAP has a strict rule we need to follow. We are looking at other ways to stay compliant while delivering better value. So obviously with the membership on Apple, people feel like it's maybe not worth it. But obviously there's guidelines they've got to stick to with Apple, and they are saying in that pretty much, they're looking at how they can add more value to it later on. So obviously just decide if it's worthwhile for you. If it isn't, then yeah, don't do it. But obviously you've got to make that assessment yourself. Some people, feel it is. Some people definitely don't feel it is. So you just got to make that decision for yourself. Can you increase the highest speed limit on walkers to 8 kilometers an hour? It's not fair for us tall people. I love this response. Maybe get a jogger. Oh God, that was funny, because it's true, because obviously you got a walker which goes up to 6 kilometers an hour, and then you've got your jogger which is the next speed up, and it would be like almost like, can you increase the speed of a jogger, because I can't run with it. It's like, yeah, that's a good one. I thought that was a perfect response. It made me chuckle. 0.6% from what's supposed to be use for community. Buyback, did this start or are you still keeping them? We cannot sell level 1 gems except comfort ones. And leaving them is not profitable. Do you have a plan? We are currently working with external console to structure the buyback. As you can appreciate, the global legal and regulatory space relating to the cryptocurrency have evolved significantly. So we are working with external counsel to ensure that this is done in a compliant way to protect the project and the community. I would suggest, if it is not feasible for you, do not engage with Mr. Rock Systems. Again, it comes down to, you've got to interpret what's good for you and obviously move forward that. And that is obviously, that's pretty much saying, they're looking into the buyback and burn, but obviously, like this team does, everything they do has been done to dot the I's, cross the T's, and just making sure they're not crossing any lines. So I think that's pretty good clarity on that whole situation. What about the exploit to raise withdrawal fees? Why can't that be fixed, or is it exploited, non-existent, and just deployed to raise fees after crashing your own coins? No, it is annoying and it cannot be fixed. API bot will get you quite quickly if you ban one. There will be another one. So that's pretty much saying, obviously with the Sol, they had to increase the transfer fee, because obviously it was being manipulated and people were like, transferring. They had a bot that was obviously transferring back and forth, and when you're taking a net loss on a certain transfer and something's manipulating that, it's definitely something you need to hit on the head pretty quickly. Otherwise, it can definitely get away from you. So it's good that they're on top of that, but obviously not ideal that there's attacks like that happening. There are a couple of people buying and selling shoes in the market. Nothing gets away from these guys buying a good stat rare shoe for like 30 Sol and immediately put it back on the market for 45 Sol. Who are these? Anything can be done. Opportunity emerges for people prepared. If people are aggregating it and in the plus, good for them. Quaint in stock trading is similar thing. Okay, so that's like, I probably know that person that's doing that, because there are a lot of people out there that know the game so well that they can see when a shoe's undervalued, they'll take it off the market and they'll re-put it back on. Example A of that is the OG sneaker that got enhanced, and it got a country sneaker. It was listed quite low and someone took it off for like 36 Sol or 46 Sol and put it back on for like 400. So obviously they saw that there was a higher value point on that and decided that they wanted to do that. So again, it all comes down to knowing what you're looking at and what you're looking for and where the value lies. Good on them if they're taking the time to understand that. It's literally how people have made money for a very long time, is being opportunists and taking their education or their knowledge and turning it into a profit for themselves. So yeah, that's neither here nor there. Will there be more new realms, or will there be no more? No plan with Realm at the moment. Are you thinking of creating other BCGs that add value to STEPN and GMT? Will STEPN be the only app that can be enjoyed in the future? No game, but game-like apps. True. They always talked about gamification of MOOAR and different things like that. So it'll be exciting to see how that's all rolled out. Rainbow Plus won't be implemented for a few months. We do not have clear timeline on that. So obviously there was actually something that came out today as well, where he said think it was the 2nd of February. Oh, I'm not going to go. It was definitely put on one of his tweets. So if you wanted more clarification on that, jump across, because they did actually elaborate on that a little bit today. But obviously, they're just watching to see what happens, and they're using it as a way to offset a certain movement within the market. So obviously, they're not going to implement that before it needs to be implemented, which is good for us. People with the classic pool, obviously not having it reduced again. It's probably in our best interest for it just to kind of, not be required sooner rather than later. Have you considered to give us a chance to increase the socket quality by burning GMT? Can be another use case. I enhanced my rare sneaker, and ironically, the new Epic socket are weaker than previous. I lost a lot of because of that. Investigated this, but with current logic hard. So obviously that's talking about the sockets and re-rolling the sockets and different things like that. So I'm sure it will be a gamification down the track, but it needs to be implemented at the right time when they have the time to do it. What are you going to do for STEPN falling apart? The fact that no one trusts you and the team anymore in Web3 projects where the trust is more important things. Is this assumption? Yes. I feel sorry you feel this way. How like this one, I mean, like, that's a question, that's a statement more than a question. And what kind of answer do you expect from that? Hi Yawn, did you forget the ETH realm? What do you think about the future of the ETH realm? No, we did not forget it. ETH realm is very stable at the moment, and it has held around the 8.78, not financial advice, but obviously it has held around the 8.7 cents for quite a while now. So I'm still playing over there and using the energy. It's not too bad. I remember a time where you mentioned during the AMA event, the GST price is already high. We don't want that, hence you played with the dynamic of the game. So my question is that why are you not taking any action to do STEPN great again when the price is very low? Rainbow monthly events around the world, achievement system, bring externality via more. Externality by more. These are all the works we are doing. So obviously they're putting moves in motion. It's just obviously not the moves that people want to see. It's probably what needs to be implemented. Obviously it's not the most exciting thing that people want to see, and that we all want the gamification within STEPN, obviously, because that's where we are and what we're using. But I think it's essential for them to roll out certain things just to make sure it all balances amongst itself. Do you think Ape Realm failed? No, it opened us to Ethereum high rollers. Okay, interesting opinion. Will there be more mechanics for gems? At the moment, no, we are working on 2 additional features. Please reduce supply of minting scrolls. This has a positive effect on STEPN. Minting scrolls will be consumed once minting is attractive again. Okay, so obviously that's saying, I feel like the drop rate on minting scrolls is quite low at the moment. Anyway, I got my first one in what feels like forever. And it was an uncommon one, not even a common one. I had to buy 2 common scrolls today for my mint. Why can other apps available in the App Store have in-app browser, but STEPN can't? They are simple, not big enough. It is sad. So I think that kind of that to me is like STEPN are making moves before they need to make moves just because they want to go on the side of caution, which I think we should take comfort in that, because it's kind of showing that they're preempting something, or they're feeling like they don't want to push a line just yet, or push it at all. And I feel like we should find a lot of comfort with that, because obviously that's kind of showing that they have that at the forefront of their mind. So, hey Yawn, is the PvP and rental ever going to be achieved? Any plans for the mainland China? No, we stay compliant with local laws. Again, making sure they're compliant, not overstepping any boundaries, keeping their users and their investments safe. That was my words, not his, but that's pretty much sums it up for me. I'd like to see more resources for events within STEPN. Is it important that users feel involved? More only has existing NFTs, is not motivated to do so. I don't want to buy any existing NFTs. STEPN is different. Yawn should know the difference best. We are assuming on monthly events now. More is targeted to different audience, bootstrapping values for GMT eventually benefits STEPN users. So obviously they are looking to implement more events in game and stuff like that, obviously to keep people moving forward and doing their dailies and different things like that. So that's always good to hear, and obviously more is more of a GMT use case, giving value to the token. So that's kind of what they just keep going over and over throughout this whole thing. And I think it's what we need to look at. Obviously, they're just looking to give utility and a little bit more use case to the GMT token. And that's what a lot of these projects are representing. What app doesn't use opportunity to communicate with the users? No news, highlights, etc. Not everyone is on Twitter. Why there is nothing new. Last fun update was mystery box variety. Since beginning of the year, I'm deadly bored with STEPN and both incentive and gaming experience. Yawn goes on to say, we reserve our use of push notification options. New things are coming. Around the world events were installed this month for a change. So yeah, I think that kind of just touches on what I kind of touched on with this. I'm going to do this video on Twitter and just run through all the questions, even though it may be monotonous for some people. I feel like putting it on YouTube, and it'll be good to kind of get it cross-shared to Facebook and different things. It gives people the opportunity, if they want the knowledge, for it to be there. Because I do agree, not everyone's on Twitter. It would be good to use push notifications in app, but obviously there's a reason that hasn't been done as of yet, because could you imagine all of this in a Twitter? No. So yeah, obviously it needs to be used appropriately within game too. Fusion is not interesting at the moment as you gamble to get a few more points in your original stats. What about when you do a fusion, you get full HP back in your shoe, back plus potential for extra points. Fusioning is doing what it intended to do. So obviously they feel like that mechanism works. I personally haven't used the fusion. I don't see, if I had an epic or something like that, well, then I'd have to burn an epic to get the stat up. So yeah. It just all comes to that risk rewards kind of situation though. Do you feel like you really need that stat increase or, yeah, it's just obviously comes down to what your gameplay is. Some people I have seen use it and it worked very well for them, but for me, I just haven't had I haven't been put in the position that I really required it. For the future town hall, could you please let K-Train _STEPN or James do it instead of Tyson? No offense to Tyson, but last town hall was so bad trying to hype up the alpha so many times and I yawn so much. Good use of words. Yawn. Suggested, noticed. Thank you. Okay. I just thought it funny how you use yawn. When GST went to $9, the team introduced double minting through GMT to stop the sharp increase in GST. This was also the day when GST was listed on KuCoin. Was the decision based on assumption that the GST price increase was organic, or did the team know about the listing? We specifically talked to all exchanges to not list GST, but no result. We cannot control that token exchanges list as this is a secondary market. Yes, obviously it wasn't ideal at the $9, but they kind of saw it getting to an unsustainable price, which, they had to make that move. Who knows what would be now if they didn't make that move. It's one of those things, you make a move that is a bit controversial to most people, but you don't, because it made that move and we're still here, I think that's a sign that it was the right move. Because if it got out of control and the price kept going up, they know the models behind the scenes to know what is feasible and what isn't. So obviously we can't sit here and critique them for that because we're still here and we're still looking healthy. So I think that's a sign that it was the right decision. Does the STEPN team have ideas how we can use the HPO rainbow sneaker? No rainbow is meant to have a lifespan. Okay, so that's all about lifespan. So obviously that's one of the gamifications of the rainbow sneaker is it has a lifespan. So it's, it's all about that high, people want it because it's got the high earnings, but obviously it doesn't last forever. So it creates a great burning mechanism within the game, especially if it's being utilized. Why there are no collabs with insurance companies already? Would be win-win that if periodically buy STEPN assets and give them to their clients. STEPN gains income funds and new players. Insurance companies gain healthier clients with increased project medical bills. Tried. Too trivial. Well, that's kind of a shame, honestly, because I like that idea, having that added benefit of moving your body, getting more fit, getting more healthy. And yeah, too trivial, which dealing with insurance companies, I'm sure it would be too. How much did the shoe decrease minus the enhancement and minting? Cannot tell you the exact number, but we are getting there, which is a good sign. But he kind of stipulated earlier that there was thousands of shoes burnt. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a sign of how it's going. I think it's going really well. What about the users who brought at high prices, 15, 18 sol? Present. Common shoe, $1,800 in April, maybe before the crash. I've personally invested over 30K. You mean when Sol was 200? Exactly. That's why at present, I look at the Sol price rather than if you believe in Sol. I believe in Sol. I really like Sol as a blockchain. So I'm just stacking Sol. Yes, Sol is not worth, I think it was $250 when I first bought my shoe. Obviously, I can't compare cost v cost because not only has STEPN obviously, been in a bear market and things haven't gone great in that aspect. Obviously, Sol has also dropped about 95%. So we are in a bear market. So I just kind of play the game and, like to invest in the projects that I believe in. So that's how I approach it. And yeah, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Can we make minting profitable again? If yes, how and when? I think floor price has moved. It was profitable for half a day the other day. So we're not far off. And I feel like if we get the right mechanisms in place or certain things in place, and especially if we start approaching, bull run again and different things like that. Again, not financial advice, but we're not far off. We're not far off. And I feel like once we hit that point, that's a pretty pinnacle point. And I think people get excited about certain aspects of the game again. And then, we get the burning going and, with the enhancement now, you've kind of got that multi-use where not only you're minting shoes, but then you get extra shoes that get down to 20%, you can enhance them. And there's a lot of great mechanisms in the game that, are being set up for the long-term feasibility of the whole ecosystem. So if they're being used, it's a win-win for everyone. So assuming Sol crashes, what backup does the team got to protect the users in Sol Realm? Would the Sol Realm be transferred to BNP or ETH? If we want. So again, they're just saying they have a multitude of options if that ever happened. Again, we hope it doesn't because, I like Sol. But obviously there is options there and we're pretty safe in that aspect. We have discovered a quiz event on Twitter. Can we expect some in-app event like if you run or walk this much distance in this time period, you will get some mystery box containing GMT, SHU, GST, SOL, USDC, according to the target user achieve, which will once again increase the activity on STEPN. We bring the around the world contest this month and we will think of something else later. Leaderboard design is tricky because people will disconnect looking at top 10 elites, which they have no clue who they are. We have figured it out. Because obviously that's true. If you just seeing the top 10 and, you're not an elite athlete, and we do definitely have some elite athletes in this community, you kind of may lose a little bit of interest if you see the same names appearing top and top. So you've obviously got to work that in and allow it to be add your friends or, different things like that where you can see the people that you want to see on there or the people that you want to compete against or the people that keep you moving forward each and every day to try and catch them. So it's good that that's on the front end of their mind because they could easily just roll out a leaderboard and you just see those top 10 and then people will be like, well, that was cool for a second. So obviously they've got to keep all that in mind as well. As game in off-chain, when can you see a daily dashboard with the numbers of items of the game? There is no off-chain. A game in off-chain, when can you see a daily dashboard with all the numbers of items of the game? There is no off-chain. Okay, I don't know how to take that one. I'll leave that up to you guys to read that as you will. Have you considered increasing the percent for the classic GMT earning? The bigger gripe is Rainbow taking too high an amount and making all but the high classic useless. I believe this is the main thing annoying any old players who invested for so long in GMT earning. This has been addressed somewhere in the thread, but TLDR balance is hard and this is the best solution. Yeah, obviously we would have liked to see Classic stick around for a little bit longer, but obviously there was reasons they need to run out Rainbow earlier, Rainbow Plus pools and different things like that. Like they've got to use those gamification to the best of their abilities to make sure, it's having the best possible impact. Yes, obviously we would have liked Classic for the full 100% for a lot longer, but you've just got to put trust in, they know. And that's where I'm at. I could sit here and critique, but I couldn't do it any better. So for me, I just kind of go, if you believe it's right, you have the maths behind the scenes. I have to believe it's right. The chart shows that 5.7% of the ecosystem in November 2022. Where can we find the proof of it? Can you please share with the community so we can check? We full disclose the holding address in white paper. Check it out. There are many addresses. So yeah, obviously might have to go across to the white paper and check it out. I might even try and see if I can find it and share it on here. Who knows? Can you bring back energy sharing? No. Are you sure? No. No. Are you going to share backend analytics with show an accurate number of DAO? No, these type of information are not disclosed by request. We have our marketing calendar for information and product content disclosure. Is Panda Skin and other exchangeable skins cancelled? I will push for its release. And that wraps it up, guys. So yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of answers. I don't know. I just read through them. Hopefully you kind of get a little bit of information from that and you feel like you get a little bit more clarity on maybe something you might have had questions about. If you don't, find me on Twitter. Shen runs for fun, and I'll definitely ask the question if you don't feel you got it. And obviously, hopefully Yawn continues to do this week in, week out. So hit him up with the questions. And if you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down. I may or may not be back. But if you feel like this is a way that you want people to be able to get the information away from Twitter, I'm happy to sit down once a week and just run through it all with you, because it's good for me, good for you, because it makes me read all of them. And there's definitely information in there that I kind of went, okay, cool. It's good to get clarity on that. So yeah, guys, that's it. Yawn says, STEPN. Yeah, guys, let us know what you think, and we'll continue to do it. But have a fantastic day. Go out there, burn your energy, and yeah, just enjoy it. Enjoy the fitness, enjoy the happiness, and that is all.